Today's episode of the Ducks on 503 podcast, we're going to talk about the most recent commitment for the Ducks. My name is Dominic Peterson, and this is the Ducks on 503 podcast, where we talk all things Oregon football. Whether this is your first time viewing this channel or you're a long-time viewer of the channel, kindly ask that you guys go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. Really helps with the algorithm and growing the channel, but nevertheless, it really helps me grow this channel is word of mouth, guys. Telling your friends and family about the podcast. If you got friends, family, brothers, sisters, cousins, grandmas that are big fans of the Oregon Ducks, you guys watch the Ducks, tell them about the podcast right here on YouTube. Now, I get it. Maybe your grandma doesn't go on YouTube much, but just show her how to do it. Get them subscribed and join the Duck Zone family. Really appreciate everybody who does go ahead and subscribe to us, goes ahead and likes our videos, and also locks in with us on our social medias at Duck Zone 503 to get the quickest updates directly from me. All right, guys, without a doubt, this is a big podcast. This is a big one to talk about today. We got former USC wideout Gary Bryant Jr. has committed to transfer to Oregon on Saturday. He chose Oregon over Texas A&M and others. Guys, this is big, man. This goes way back from when Junior Adams was, at Washington, and Junior Adams was recruiting him during his senior year, and that relationship now continues here in Eugene. He had 2 catches for 15 yards and a couple punt and kickoff returns in 3 games last season for the Trojans. Now, I get it. Some of you guys are probably saying, wait, that's it? Why are we so hyped about this? Why are so many people making big deals? Because, guys, look, last season, Bryant was buried in the depth chart after new head coach, remember Lincoln Riley came in from Oklahoma. Well, he only bring in wide receivers like Jordan Addison. He transferred from Pittsburgh. He went on to win that Biletnikoff Award, that award that is handed to only the best wide receiver in college football. And then you bring in a guy like Mario Williams, who transferred with Lincoln Riley. I mean, you bring in those 2 guys, that's kind of hard to beat out. I like Bryant, okay? I like him, but he's not good enough to beat those guys out. I'm telling you now. So in 2021, though, this guy can play. Okay, Bryant in 2021, before those guys came in, he put up 44 catches, 579 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Along with that, this guy's like a switchblade, man. He's got different ways to get you. 11 punt returns for 50 yards and 16 kickoff returns for 413 yards in 10 games. So this guy's a weapon, not only on the field, but in special teams as well. As a true freshman in 2020, he had 7 catches for 51 yards and 8 kickoff returns for 210 yards in 5 games. Appeared in a few games in his freshman year. Nothing wrong with that. Sophomore year was looking at the trajectory on the way up. And then last year, I mean, you're just kind of buried in the depth chart with talent. And that could be a situation here at Oregon. But, man, this guy can play. Bryant, who's entering his 4th year sophomore season, has 3 seasons of eligibility remaining. Now, I get it, guys. The numbers are getting confusing. Don't ask me. I'm just stating the facts here. The 5'11", 180-pound Bryant was a 4-star recruit, ranked number 46 nationally and number 7th among receivers in the 247 composite class of 2020. Bryant is primarily viewed as a slot receiver, but he'll add a versatile skill set to a loaded wide receiver room that included rising stars such as Holden and Johnson. As well as names, you can't forget Troy Franklin, Chris Hudson, Kyler Casper, and Justice Lowe. Now, guys, if you're looking to compare Bryant to anybody on the Oregon roster from a physical standpoint, I think Chris Hudson is your best bet to look at for a player comparison, okay? Hudson stands about 5'11", 172 pounds, while Bryant at USC last year was listed at 5'11", 180 pounds. So pretty comparable size physically there. Bryant has great top-end speed, and he routinely gets behind defenses. He also brings good hands, strong ball skills, and a great ability to track and adjust the ball in the air. He's a very physical player, okay? When he catches onto these passes in traffic and holds onto that ball, and then you see him here just battling for extra yards, gaining extra yards against the defenders. This guy is a physical player. He's also not only that, but he's also a dominant pass catcher, okay? Catching tough catches in traffic. This guy's just an ultimate playmaker. But let me remind you, not only on the field is he a weapon, but Bryant's ability as a kick returner also adds to his upside, where we might see him contribute here at Oregon. He returned 24 kicks for a total of 623 yards and averaged 26 yards per return while at USC. Dangerous, electric guy. I mean, and then you pair him up with a guy like Tez Johnson. I mean, I know you guys seen the electric ability Tez Johnson bring in that spring game, the touchdown he made. So, guys, Oregon is loading up on the offensive side of the ball. Now, when Bryant committed to Oregon, a lot of you guys were asking me, but Dominic, do the Ducks really need another wide receiver? I mean, look how many guys we got. How are they all going to get the ball? Well, in a short answer, guys, they didn't really need to add Gary Bryant Jr. Like, if you were to ask me before he committed, hey, if they don't get him, are the Ducks in trouble with the wide receiver position? Absolutely not. But adding a guy like Bryant Jr. just adds the depth and talent and competition to capitalize on that championship window that they want to achieve, right? You know, in 2023, this is the year to make a run at the playoff, okay? Especially with Bo Nix returning at the quarterback position, bringing back your number one wide receiver. You're bringing a whole bunch of depth and overloading that defense. And it's proven Tosh Lupoy, Dan Lanning, Demetrius Martin, these are smart, proven defensive coaches. And these are the guys leading. Now, I get it. Now, last year, not a great showing. But I keep reminding you guys, the viewer, a lot of those guys on last year's defense were recruited and landed here at Oregon by Mario Cristobal or that staff. This year, it was a total overhaul. Over 50% of the roster gone due to the draft or transfers. And Dan Lanning and this staff are landing their guys that fit this system a little bit better. So, this is going to be very, very interesting. You know, adding Bryant to the mix not only adds competition to this receiver room, but it just gives Bo Nix, you know, Heisman level quarterback. We've seen it last year before he got injured. Gives Bo Nix another weapon for defensive coordinators to plan for. I mean, this is going to be dangerous. Troy Franklin is, you know, undoubtedly your number one wide receiver, and most likely will head to the NFL. If he has another successful year or does anything close to what he did last year, he'll most likely go to the NFL. Well, the good thing about landing Gary Bryant Jr., looking towards the future, is that he has still 3 years of eligibility remaining left, and it's still a lot to prove, which makes him a big part of the future here in Eugene. So not only for just 2023 as a one season and gone, he can stay here and build for the future in this wide receiver room. Now, I get it, snaps won't be handed to him this year as he'll have to battle Chris Hudson and Tez Johnson as many other wide receivers because this room is stacked. But the best teams in college football, guys, the Georgias, the Bamas, the Ohio States, the Clemsons, the best teams in college football don't just welcome competition, but they actually actively thrive in it. They put it together. They get recruiting class after recruiting class. You see it with Georgia in the modern era right now. Number one recruiting class. And what's happening? National championship. They're going for a three-peat this year. All their guys, first-round draft picks. I mean, it's like a factory out there in Georgia. And where did Dan Lanning come from? The Georgia tree. He was their defensive coordinator when they won the first national championship. So, guys know this. Guys know the potential here. He's selling a pitch also. This is another thing I hear at Oregon that you can sell these guys is Oregon has never won a national championship. Zero. I mean, people like to laugh at the O, right? People like to laugh at the O is zero national, ha, ha, ha. But that's something within itself that you could pitch to guys and go, look, especially these top 5-star high-end guys. Look, you can go to USC, win another national championship, just be another part of their book. But if you come here to Oregon and win a national championship, the one and only in history, I mean, there's been a lot of success here, but we've never actually won the national championship. If we do it, you will be sketched in history forever. It won't just be another championship team. You will be the championship team that brought the first national championship here at Oregon. So I think that's something Dan Lanning can pitch, especially to high-end guys. That's why you're seeing Oregon recruit very well. You mix that in with NIL. You mix it in with transfer portal. This is a very young staff, so they're very adaptive to what's going on in the modern college football era. As it changes on a dime, right? Feels like every time we open our phone, there's something changing, right? So it's just been crazy. So he's also Bryant's also a 2023 Adidas All-American wide receiver. Jurion Dickey, another mentioning Bryant was an Adidas All-American wide receiver. He's going to be joined with 2023 Adidas All-American wide receiver Jurion Dickey once he arrives this summer in Eugene. Early enrollee Ashton Kozar, another All-American high school kid. So we are just stacking up the talent here. I can't wait to see what happens. Bryant is the 12th FBS transfer addition to the Ducks this offseason, joining linebackers Justin Jacobs and Connor Sewell, receivers Trayshawn Holden and Tej Johnson, cornerback Kyrie Jackson, offensive lineman Junior Engelau, safeties Evan Williams and Tyson Johnson, edge rusher Jordan Birch, and tight ends Casey Kelly and Caden Ludwig, plus FCS transfer offensive lineman Ajani Cornelius. The addition of Bryant gives Oregon 84 projected scholarship players in the fall, including 10 receivers. Dan Lanning has spoken repeatedly, guys, about adding players to enhance the roster when the opportunity presents itself, and Oregon is now adding one more speedy playmaker to the offense that has lots of potential and lots of upside. Another big win in the transfer portal for Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks. Lanning has not been shy about attacking the portal and leveraging it to fill gaps on their roster. We've seen guys like Christian Gonzalez, who just went first round in the draft, Bo Nix, who's returning and going to be very sought after in the NFL if he has a year like last year, were huge additions to last year's team. So Bryant's going to be involved here in 2023. It's going to be very, very fun to watch. Guys, that's it for today's episode. I really appreciate everybody tuning in once again. I'm your host, Dominic Peterson. This is the Duck Zone 503 podcast where we talk all things Oregon football. If you haven't already, guys, like I said, please go hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really helps with the algorithm, but most importantly, telling your friends and family about this Oregon podcast, the Duck Zone 503 podcast on YouTube. Join up. We're almost to 1,000. Really like to see that 1,000 number. Really appreciate all you Duck fans out there. Go Ducks. Stay cool. It's getting hot outside. See you in the next one.